ladies and gentlemen, they said the violence is going through the roof in these migrant shelters to the point where New York City is installing cameras. You would think there would already be cameras there, but apparently not, which is really interesting. So they're saying wait until they get a hold of guns. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Now, I know I have read about some of the people were stabbed to death up in there. There's been a few people killed. And, back in, I think, November, they said there were a lot of physical fights going on in those shelters, too. So now it's saying the violence is so bad at New York City's migrant shelters, the authorities are installing security cameras and considering metal detectors as cops grapple with the influx of knives. Just wait until they get a hold of guns, officials and law enforcement sources say. The latest bloodshed includes a fatal jabbing on January 7th and Thursday's separate massive brawl, both in a tent city shelter on Randall's Island. They're not using metal detectors. If they were, the knives wouldn't be happening. A security guard at the site told, they spoke anonymously, y'all, noting that the shelter's arrivals are not screened beyond having their IDs scanned. Everyone is seemed to be carrying a weapon. So it's not a good environment. This is what the security guard is saying. Security is not good. It's not safe. If you tell me it's safe, it's not. We are trying to do our best, but we are outnumbered, he said. Jose Chica, 42, a new arrival from Ecuador, said the conditions at the shelter is dangerous. There are a lot of problems here. I don't mess with anyone. No one. Security cameras were in the process of being installed at the makeshift shelter Friday morning, with discussions ongoing about adding metal detectors to further enhance security there and at other sites as the city struggles with a massive influx of South and Central American migrants, more than 150,000 in total, who have arrived in New York City since spring of 2022. Law enforcement sources said Friday that it's time to get real about security measures at migrant facilities and that failing to do so put the public's safety at risk. We cannot continue down this road of taking in hundreds and hundreds of people without establishing such security measures. We need to do this for the sake of the staff, migrants, and New Yorkers in general. We can't continue to have thousands of people conjugate under such constrained conditions without any metal detectors or cameras. I'm surprised they have not put none in there. You mean to tell me y'all put up these makeshift shelters and you had no security? Wow, that really don't make any sense. You don't even know these people. So they said now we're dealing with an influx of knives. So, wow. So they know it's just a matter of time before they go out there and buy guns. And they're right about that, especially getting one illegally on the street. It sure won't be hard for them to do that. That's for sure. It won't be hard at all. So the stepped up security measures began after a pair of knife attacks this month, including January 7th. They said it was a fatal attack at Randall's Island. And the cops said sprung this was a fight the migrants were having over a woman that turned fatal. Wow. The 24-year-old victim was viciously assaulted at the shelter by four people after he talked to one of the men's girlfriends. Wow. One of the attackers pulled the knife and they got him in the neck and chest. Wow. The victim was rushed to Harlem Hospital and was pronounced dead. Asylum seekers said that the crime has festered as migrant groups they start splitting off in the camps into armed camps based on ethnic groups and country of origin. So they start splitting off and becoming different groups within the shelter. And they said virtually everyone in these shelters got a knife. The simmering violence had boiled over into an all out brawl on more than one occasion. Most recently, Thursday afternoon, when two rival groups of migrants, armed with knives and rocks, began fighting inside the shelter before the conflict spilled over into the streets. A 24-year-old was stabbed during the chaos. He was taken by EMTs and listed in stable condition. 18 people were arrested after the rumble. The incident echoed another group fight on January 6th. You mean to tell me these fights happened a day apart? On January 6th, which violence erupted outside the East Village Migrant Center in Manhattan after someone attempted to cut the line of some 400 asylum seekers and allegedly spilled his coffee on others. One man punched the line cutter and he tumbled onto the ground, and then it ensued into a melee. Okay. At least two NYPD officers were injured in the scuffle, and two men were arrested. Sky high tensions and grim conditions have led to at least one domestic violence incident at Randall's Island. A migrant allegedly struck his partner and was arrested Friday morning. Even beyond the climate of unchecked violence, the deteriorating conditions at Randall's Island are apparent, taking a frightening toll on the health of its temporary residents. On Friday afternoon, a teen girl suffered a seizure in one of the small tents erected outside of the shelter for those who have been told to find another home. A migrant carried her in his arms and desperately tried to find help as her legs trembled and jerked. A police on site took her into a van and comforted her, and before EMTs came about 20 minutes later. They don't have beds in there. They stay here because it's better than being on the streets, a migrant told one of the reporters at an ad hoc tent, adding that the woman who suffered the seizure sometimes hopped the fence to use the bathroom at the shelter to stay warm. Wow, that just sounds horrible. You know, look, even the homeless won't stay in many of the shelters that are there for them because they said people get killed in those shelters and they all kinds of crimes happen. That's why a lot of times you'll see homeless people that say they'd rather be on the street sleeping than go into those shelters because normally they really don't have security. But I see for these migrants, they do. So y'all, mm, mm, mm. Y'all, you gotta tell me what you think about this one. I don't think I would go near those shelters or even around them. Just sounds horrible. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.